Warning, there will be spoilers in this video. If you have not finished playing through Crash 4, it is highly recommended you do so before viewing. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time is the 8th main series game in the Crash Bandicoot franchise, a statement that's almost as infuriating as Kingdom Hearts 3 is the 13th game in the Kingdom Hearts series. Crash Bandicoot 4 decides to disregard everything that happened after Warped and instead picks up right where that game left off. It's been 12 years since a new Crash Bandicoot game was released, so now that this moment is finally upon us, how does the game hold up? Is it just as good as the original trilogy, or is this Wrath of Cortex all over again? Let's find out as we take a look at Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. As previously mentioned, the story picks up right where Warp left off, with Dr. Neo Cortex and Dr. Nefarious Tropy finally escaping from their time prison, with the help of Uka Uka, who immediately passes out afterwards. Sensing a great disturbance, Aku Aku awakens Crash to investigate. The Bandicoot eventually meets up with Lani Loli, one of the 4 quantum masks who are responsible for keeping the flow of space-time intact. Now, Crash and Coco must unite the 4 masks in an attempt to stop the evil scientist duo. As the game begins, the first thing you'll notice is just how faithful it is to the originals. You run, you jump, you spin, you slide, it's all here. The controls are very snappy and Crash and Coco control incredibly well. Plus, they even have a few new moves. This game adds rail grinding, rope swinging, and wall running into the mix, making the platforming flow better than ever before. But that's not all. The 4 quantum masks also give Crash and Coco new abilities. Lani Loli has the ability to phase objects in and out of existence. Akano makes the Bandicoot spin for an extended period of time to allow them to hover over large gaps, and can even break reinforced crates without utilizing the body slam. Kapunawa can briefly slow down time, and finally Ika Ika flips gravity. Each mask brings something new to the table and really gives the platforming some variety. Speaking of platforming, if you were worried that this game wouldn't be as challenging as the originals, well, good news and bad news. Your worries can be put to rest, and your worries can be put to rest. This game is excruciatingly difficult. There is so much trial and error in some of the later levels that I found myself going into a level with almost 90 lives and getting a game over. However, there is a catch to the difficulty, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Along the way, Crash and Coco will run into some familiar faces, such as facing off with Dr. Engine and Dr. Nitrous Brio, who are both just as memorable here as they've always been. Also, believe it or not, Brio in this game has the same voice actor as Sonic the Hedgehog.
Friends, I have a fun little game for you to play. I've got a reward for the clever bandicoots who can reach my testing grounds, but you'll have to defeat my deadly, diabolical creations along the way.
Yes, that is Roger Craig Smith and not Maurice LaMarche. Genuinely good impression, Roger. I'm very impressed. Crash and Coco aren't the only characters you get to take control of in this game, by the way. Along the way, the Bandicoots team up with some unlikely allies. First up is Tawna Bandicoot, Crash's girlfriend from the first game, except not. You see, this version of Tawna is from an alternate dimension, where she had to step up as the hero after Crash and Coco, well...
What, did we, die or something? What? No! Nope. No, definitely not. So how are things in your dimension?
Yeah, that. Tawna's gameplay is an absolute blast. She has a hook shot that can grapple between platforms, stun enemies, and break far-off crates. She also has the ability to wall jump, but only in certain areas. She doesn't have the trademark spin, but she does have this little spin kick that reminds me a little bit of Coco's spin kick from Wrath of Cortex. Plus, she has a super stomp that lands her in a superhero pose, which is satisfying to use every time. Next up is Dingodile, who, after retiring from a life of crime, has to step up when his newly built diner gets blown up by competitors. However, he gets sucked into another dimension and has to find his way back home. Dingo's gameplay is certainly unique. He actually does have a spin attack, but the real weapon is his new air gun. This bad boy can suck up crates, inhale and shoot out TNT, and even allow Dingodile to hover for a short time. He definitely brings some variety to the table, and he is always a joy to play around with. And finally, we have Dr. Cortex. After being thwarted by Crash and Coco for the 4th time, as well as being betrayed by Entropy, the mad scientist decides to put his differences aside and team up with the Bandicoots to stop his former partner's nefarious plot. Now, if you've played Crash Insanity, you may already have experience playing as Cortex. Well, throw all that out the window because his gameplay is very different in this game. Cortex still has his trademark ray gun, but here he uses it to turn enemies into platforms for him to jump across. Shoot once for a solid platform, and twice for a bouncy one. In addition, he also has an air dash, which is very helpful for getting across large gaps. Once the team all finally meet up together, we learn who Entropy's new partner is. Nitrous Oxide, the main antagonist from Crash Team Racing. Nah, just kidding. He's just a fun little cameo. His actual new partner is a female version of himself from Tawna's universe. And yes, this femme Tropy is in fact the one who killed Crash and Coco in that universe. Now our 5 heroes have to put a stop to the duo before they destroy the space-time continuum. Now here, I'd like to take the focus off of the story for a bit and talk about some other aspects of the game. First of all, the game is absolutely beautiful. These are some of the most colorful environments in any Crash game, and the art style, in my opinion, is the best the series has ever looked. The music is also top-notch. While Joss Mansell didn't return, Walter Mayer did a fantastic job replicating his style and gave us some real bangers. One of my favorite parts of this game is the skins. There are multiple skins for both Crash and Coco that you unlock by earning a certain number of gems per level. These are fun cosmetics and there's a bunch to choose from, so let me know your favorites. I like the Rocket Head skin for Crash and the Interstellar Buccaneer for Coco, personally. Speaking of gems, each level has 6 gems in total to collect. 3 gems for collecting 40, 60, and 80% of all Wumpa Fruit, 1 for breaking all the boxes, 1 for dying 3 times or less, and 1 gem hidden throughout the level. If that wasn't enough for you, after the boss with Embryo, you unlock Inverted Mode, a psyched out mirror mode with 6 more gems to collect, bringing the total per level to 12. So, here's where I gotta bring this up. Remember when I said there's a catch to the difficulty? Yeah, if you're playing through the game casually, it's not that bad. Challenging, but nothing insane. But if you're going for all the gems, if you plan to 100% complete this game, I just have one piece of advice for you. Don't. Completing this game is an absolute nightmare. There are so many boxes hidden out of view, I guarantee you will miss them your first run through of the level. And don't even get me started on the colored gems. While only 4 this time around, they are incredibly cryptic. Whether you have to pull a Crash 2 and not break any boxes, or jump on platforms in a specific order, or do this shit, the gem collecting in this game is relentless. Not to mention, there's even more shit to do. In each level, starting in World 2, there are flashback tapes, which unlock secret recording footage of Cortex testing Crash and Coco before the events of the first 2 games. Not only do you have to reach these tapes without dying to unlock them, but these tapes themselves are some of the most trial and error challenges in the game. These things are brutal, and while it's cool to get some lore and some throwback music tracks, these are an absolute pain to go through, especially Coco's. And if that wasn't enough, the time trials also make a return, and this time they're tougher than ever. So if you want that full 106%, you need the Platinum Relics. Gold doesn't cut it anymore, folks. So practice your speedrunning skills, be prepared to mash the spin button, and good fucking luck. And if that still wasn't enough for you, there's the ultimate challenge, the insanely perfect relics. These things are bastards, plain and simple. What you are required to do to unlock these, you have to get all 6 gems in a level without dying once. This is by far the most difficult challenge in the game, especially considering how brutal the levels get later on. It's hard to get all these boxes normally. You want me to do it without dying? Trust me when I say this, folks. Do not 100% this game. It will drive you insane. The rewards aren't even worth it. They're just cutscenes you can look up. Here, I'll show you now. One is a Where Are They Now segment, and the other is sequel bait. There, I just saved you several weeks of your life. Okay, back to the story. After an extremely unexpected Easter egg, our heroes face off against the two trophies and finally put a stop to their evil plan. The quantum masks plug up the holes in space and take our heroes to the culinary capital of the world to celebrate. But, inevitably, Cortex ends up betraying the Bandicoots and plans to go back before the events of Crash 1 to stop himself from creating Crash to begin with. Luckily, his past self doesn't believe him, giving our heroes more time to stop him. And after a climactic final duel, the events play out as they're supposed to, and Cortex is banished to the edge of the universe. And all is well in the world. Dingo Dial reopens his diner, Cortex finally gets peace and quiet, Crash and Coco and Tawna all hang out and play some video games together. And that was Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. So, to re-ask the question at the beginning of this video, does it hold up to the originals? Of course it does! Crash Bandicoot 4 is more of the iconic platforming we've all grown to love from the first 3 games. It takes the best part of those games and limits the amount of gimmicks to barely anything. The gameplay is fluid and snappy, the atmosphere and music are breathtaking, the story is fun and memorable, and the Easter eggs, oh lord, the Easter eggs! All of these aspects make this, in my opinion, the best Crash game yet. The only downside being that it's also the hardest Crash game yet. On a casual playthrough, this game is a blast from start to finish, but on a completionist run, it's an absolute nightmare. I seriously can't recommend enough not going for 100%, but I also can't recommend enough just playing this game for fun. Crash 4 is the return to form that we've all been waiting for so long, and I cannot wait to see what's in store next for the Orange Marsupial. So hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more from me, why not subscribe? And press that bell to be notified for all future uploads. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.